Imagine for a moment a man standing before a magnificent storehouse filled with treasures of every kind: wealth, knowledge, peace of mind, joy, and personal achievement. The door is unlocked. He may enter freely, and yet most will walk by glancing in and keep moving. Why? Because every treasure inside has a small tag that reads, "Price to be paid up front." This is Earl Nightingale. One of the oldest truths in the world is also one of the simplest. Anything worth having has a price, and you must pay it in full, in advance. Success, achievement, happiness, none of these are handed out like samples at the corner store. They are purchased with effort, discipline, persistence, and an unshakable belief in one's purpose. Now here is something worth remembering: the price is never too high for the reward you receive. Whether you aim to master a skill, build a thriving business, or change the course of your life, the price is always the same: work done willingly, daily, and without complaint. The men and women you admire are not necessarily more gifted than you or I, but they have paid, often quietly in the early hours when no one was watching. They've given the hours to study, the energy to practice, the courage to fail, and the grit to try again. And they've paid without bargaining, without asking if they might just have it on credit. If you want to grow, there are 3 simple steps to decide exactly what you want. No one pays for a ticket without knowing the destination. Determine the price. Is it time? Effort? Sacrifice of certain comforts? Start paying today. Not next week, not after conditions are perfect. Today. Remember, this life will always give you the thing you want, provided you pay its price in full, in advance. So here is my challenge to you: think of the goal that stirs you most. Fix it firmly in your mind. And then, before this day ends, take one concrete step toward it. Pay something toward the price. Tomorrow, pay again. And keep paying until the door opens and you find yourself standing inside that storehouse, surrounded by the treasures you once only dreamed about. Because the truth is simple: you can have anything you want if you will pay the price. Now, go pay it. Everything has a cost. This is one of life's quiet, unchanging laws, as certain as gravity, as dependable as the sunrise. No man or woman can escape it, nor would they wish to if they truly understood it. For the cost we pay is not a penalty, it is the very process by which we earn, grow, and become worthy of the rewards we seek. Success is not an accident. Happiness is not a stroke of luck. Personal growth is never the result of chance. They all come in exchange for something: our time, our energy, our attention, our discipline. They demand that we give before we receive. If you were to walk through the annals of history, you'd find that every towering figure, every great leader, every inventor, artist, or builder of nations, without exception, understood this law. The scientist spends decades hunched over a lab bench, his eyes wary but his vision alive. The musician, long before the applause, spends countless hours in a quiet room, playing the same passage over and over until it becomes part of his very being. The business owner sacrifices weekends and comfort to lay the bricks of something that will last. They all paid the price. The cost is not always in money. In fact, most often it isn't. It's paid in the currency of hours spent in study when others are asleep. It's in the sweat that runs down your back on a hot afternoon when no one is there to praise you. It's in the quiet refusal of distractions that look tempting in the moment but would rob you of your future. It's the willing choice to endure discomfort today so you may live with abundance tomorrow. There's a great truth here: the higher the reward you seek, the higher the price you must pay, and the price is never negotiable. The man who dreams of a flourishing career but will not invest the time to master his craft is like a farmer who demands a harvest without first planting seed. Nature will not bend her rules to suit our preferences. She gives only in proportion to what we have sown. We live in an age where speed is worshipped, and many hope the cost can be avoided entirely. But the truth remains: life has no shortcuts worth taking. The gym cannot sell you strength in a bottle, the bookstore cannot hand you wisdom on a silver tray, and no mentor can give you discipline. These must be earned. Each step forward requires that something be given up: comfort, ease, the illusion of security. And yet the cost is never too great for what you gain in return. For every hour spent in practice, you gain a skill that can never be taken from you. For every moment you resist an easy distraction, you buy back a piece of your future. For every drop of effort you give willingly, life returns something of far greater value than what you surrendered. This is the quiet, unbreakable exchange that governs all true achievement: full payment in advance. That is the way life conducts its business. You will never receive the harvest before you have sown the seed and tended it through the season. There are no credit arrangements in the economy of achievement. The rules are plain and uncompromising: the work must be done first, the discipline applied first, the hours invested first. Only then will the reward appear, and never a moment sooner. The young man who sets out to learn a craft must first endure the years of apprenticeship. He cannot expect the mastery of the old hand without paying the years of learning, of mistakes, of slow improvement. The student cannot demand the diploma on the first day of class. The long nights of study, the early mornings of preparation, the repeated testing of knowledge are the installments that make up the full price. The athlete does not win the championship by merely wanting it. The price is paid in sweat long before the crowd ever cheers. This truth is not meant to discourage, it is meant to empower. For it tells you in certain terms that the moment you begin paying, you have already started the process toward what you desire. The payment is not some vague debt, it is the work you do today, tomorrow, and the next day. Each task completed, each hour invested, each obstacle faced without quitting, these are deposits into your account with life. And when enough has been paid, the return will come, and it will seem sudden, as though overnight. But you will know it was purchased in full over many days and nights. The impatient soul looks for ways to have the reward first. They want the high salary before learning the skill. They want respect before earning it. They want the freedom of success without the restraint of discipline. But life never works that way. To expect the reward before the payment is like asking the fire to give you heat before you've given it fuel. It is like asking a garden to bloom without planting anything in the soil. Nature does not grant favors to those who try to reverse her order. The beauty of this law is its fairness. It applies to all equally. No matter where you begin, no matter your circumstances, if you are willing to make the payment in full and in advance, the reward must follow. It may not arrive exactly when you expect, but it will arrive as surely as the seasons change. So the question is never whether the goal is possible. The question is only whether you will pay the required price before asking for the return. Those who understand this rule do not complain about the work. They welcome it, knowing it is the surest proof they are on the path to what they seek. They rise each day knowing that every honest effort is part of the payment, and that sooner or later, life will settle its accounts in their favor. Clarity of purpose is the starting point of every worthwhile achievement. You cannot pay the price for something you have not clearly identified. A ship leaving harbor without a destination will drift with the currents until it runs aground or is lost at sea. But the ship whose course is set, whose captain knows exactly where he is going, will make steady progress no matter the winds or the tides. In the same way, a person who knows precisely what he wants can face delays, difficulties, and detours without losing heart, because he understands where the journey is meant to end. Most people, if pressed, cannot give a clear answer to what they truly want in life. They speak in vague terms. I'd like to be successful. I want to be happy. I'd like to do something meaningful. But success, happiness, and meaning are like destinations on a map that must be named and plotted before the journey begins. Without that definition, you cannot calculate the route, nor can you determine the price to be paid. You cannot climb a mountain if you haven't decided which mountain you intend to climb. Once a person decides exactly what he wants, an extraordinary thing happens. The mind begins to work like a well-tuned compass. It starts picking up signals, seeing opportunities, and discarding distractions that have nothing to do with the chosen destination. Clarity gives you the ability to say no without guilt, to ignore the noise, to resist the temptation of goals that belong to someone else. It is the difference between scattering your energy in all directions and focusing it like a beam of light on one fixed point until the work is done. This clarity is not always easy to come by. It may require honest self-examination, stripping away the expectations of others and asking the hard question, what do I truly want? Not what seems safe, not what is fashionable, not what others say I should want, but what stirs me deeply enough to make sacrifice worth it. Because until you have a goal that excites you enough to endure discomfort, the price will always feel too high. When the goal is clear and meaningful, the payment becomes not a burden but a privilege. History is filled with examples of men and women who succeeded not because they were the most talented, but because they knew exactly what they wanted and pursued it relentlessly. They measured every choice, every action, every day against that purpose. They wasted no energy on pursuits that did not serve it. And because they had that clarity, they could commit fully, pay willingly, and endure patiently, knowing that the destination was worthy of every ounce of effort they gave. When you decide exactly what you want, the path may not be easy, but it will be certain. The obstacles become just part of the price. The delays are temporary. The failures are lessons. And the moment you truly see the goal in your mind's eye, vivid and unmistakable, you have already taken the most important step toward reaching it. No bargaining with success. This is a rule as firm and immovable as the mountains. You cannot talk life into giving you more than you have earned, nor can you persuade it to lower the price. Success is not a merchant haggling in the marketplace. It is a law of nature. It gives to each exactly what has been paid for, no more and no less. The dream you hold in your mind, no matter how noble or beautiful, will come to you only when the full cost has been met, not a fraction less. Many people approach their goals as if they were buying a coat in a shop, hoping to catch it on sale to get it for less than the marked price. They say, "I'll work hard, but only when I feel inspired," or "I'll give my best, but only if I can see results quickly." They want the reward, but not the long nights, the discipline, the sacrifice. And so they pay in small, hesitant installments, wondering why the door to success never opens. The truth is, life doesn't offer layaway plans for achievement. You cannot take the prize home and promise to settle the bill later. The price is always paid in advance. It is paid in the mornings you rise before others to study, to practice, to build. It is paid in the hours you invest while the world is occupied with easier, more pleasant diversions. It is paid in the moments you push through fatigue, discouragement, and self-doubt, refusing to stop until the day's work is done. And when that price has been met in full, the result is inevitable. No force on earth can keep from you what you have already purchased with persistent effort and unwavering resolve. What makes this truth both challenging and liberating is that the price is not set by anyone else. No competitor can raise it for you, and no friend can lower it. It is determined solely by the nature of the goal itself. If you aim high, the cost will be high. If you aim low, the cost will be low. But in either case, there will be no discount. A great career, a healthy body, a deep and lasting relationship, each requires its own investment, and the full sum must be paid. The moment you accept that there will be no bargaining, no shortcuts, you free yourself from the exhausting habit of looking for them. You stop asking, "Is there an easier way?" and instead ask, "What must I do next?" That shift in thinking changes everything. It strips away the illusions and puts you in direct contact with the truth that the work is the price, and the payment is within your power every single day. When you understand this, you no longer resent the cost. You embrace it, knowing it is the one unchanging path to the life you've imagined. Persistence over talent. Time and again, life proves that the steady worker surpasses the one who rests on natural gifts. Talent is a fine beginning, but it is only a beginning. Without the fuel of consistent effort, talent remains a dormant seed, full of potential but producing nothing. The world is filled with people of great ability who never rose beyond mediocrity simply because they would not keep going when the work became dull, difficult, or unglamorous. Meanwhile, those of lesser initial advantage, who simply refused to quit, quietly advanced until they stood in the very place the gifted had once seemed destined to occupy. Natural ability can give a person a head start, but persistence determines the finish line. In the early stages, talent may shine, attracting attention and praise, but over time, consistency wears down the gap. Day after day, the persistent individual lays another brick, adds another layer, makes another small improvement. It doesn't look dramatic, and often no one notices at first. But in the quiet accumulation of steady effort, mountains are moved and entire futures are built. The trouble with relying solely on talent is that it breeds a dangerous comfort. The naturally gifted often find that early success comes easily, and because of this, they come to expect results without sustained effort. But life has a way of revealing its true costs. The moment the path grows steeper, those who have coasted on talent discover they lack the endurance for the climb. They slow down, they avoid the harder tasks, and eventually they stop altogether. And when they stop, they are passed not by someone faster, but by someone who simply refuses to stop moving. Persistence is not glamorous. It does not flatter the ego. It is made of unremarkable days filled with unremarkable work, practicing scales, studying the same material again, refining a skill long after the excitement has worn off. It demands showing up when you're tired, when you'd rather rest, when the reward seems far away. Yet it is in these moments when most give in that persistence quietly carves the path to mastery. The beauty of persistence is that it is available to everyone. You do not need exceptional talent to practice it. You need only the decision that you will keep going, regardless of the pace, regardless of how you feel on any given day. Those who make that decision, and honor it, gain something more valuable than any inborn gift: the ability to complete what they start. Over the years, persistence builds its own kind of talent. Skills sharpen, judgment improves, confidence grows, And while others wait for inspiration or a fresh burst of ability, the persistent are already at work, already paying the price. And by the time the naturally gifted return to the race, they find that the steady plodder has turned into a seasoned runner, far ahead and still moving forward. Sacrifice is part of the price. There is no way around it. Every great achievement, every lasting success, every meaningful change has been purchased at the cost of something else. Comfort, leisure, and the pleasures of the moment are often the first things placed on the counter when we decide to pay for a greater future. It is not because life is cruel or demands suffering for its own sake, but because space must be cleared for growth, and energy must be redirected toward the building of something that does not yet exist. When you set your mind on a worthy goal, you quickly discover that time and energy are limited. The hours you spend in idle diversion cannot also be spent in study, practice, or creation. The money used for fleeting indulgence cannot also be invested in tools, training, or opportunity. The mind occupied with trivial entertainment cannot also focus on solving important problems. And so, to choose one thing is to release another. The greater the thing you choose, the greater the things you must release. The young man who decides to master his craft may find his weekends consumed by work while his friends are out enjoying themselves. The woman who commits to building her business might give up vacations or nights out for a season so she can direct her resources where they will produce the highest return. The athlete seeking excellence must forego certain foods, habits, and comforts in order to keep the body sharp and the mind alert. These are not punishments, they are trades, willingly made, because the reward is worth more than what is given up. The tragedy is that many turn away from their dreams because they are unwilling to make this trade. They want the reward without the sacrifice, the harvest without the planting. They view any loss of comfort as an injustice rather than an investment. But the truth is that sacrifice is not loss, it is the down payment on the life you desire. You are not giving something up for nothing, you are exchanging something of lesser value now for something of far greater value later. History's great successes understood this principle. They knew that saying no to certain pleasures was in fact saying yes to a greater purpose. They did not resent the hours spent in solitude or the effort spent in preparation. They accepted them as part of the price, knowing full well that what they were building could not be purchased with anything less. Sacrifice refines you. It sharpens your priorities. It teaches discipline and self-control. And as you make these exchanges, you begin to see the world differently. You stop measuring life by how comfortable you are in the moment and start measuring it by how closely you are moving toward the vision you hold in your mind. The pleasures you once gave up lose their hold on you, replaced by the quiet satisfaction of knowing you are steadily, deliberately, paying the price for something that will endure invisible investment. It is the portion of the price no one applauds, no one photographs, and no one remembers but you. It is paid in the quiet hours, long before the world ever sees a result. It is the early morning spent with a book open on the desk, the late night at the workbench when the rest of the house is asleep, the solitary run on a cold morning when the streets are empty. These moments pass unnoticed by others, but they are the very foundation upon which all visible success is built. We live in a world that celebrates the finished product, the winning performance, the best-selling book, the booming business. But the work that produced these is rarely shown. A single shining moment can be the result of years of effort hidden from view. The world sees the fruit on the tree. It does not see the long seasons of unseen growth beneath the soil. This is the nature of invisible investment. The most important work is done before anyone knows you are doing it. This is why so many fail to reach their goals. They are willing to act when there is applause, when there is recognition, when the work is exciting and the results immediate. But when progress slows and the work becomes solitary, they drift away. They cannot see the value in the hours that seem to produce nothing. Yet these hours are the most valuable of all. It is in them that skill is built, habits are formed, and the deep roots of character and competence grow strong enough to support future success. Invisible investment requires faith. You must believe in the process even when no one is there to witness it and no reward seems near. You must trust that the small, unseen deposits you make each day are accumulating interest. Each page read adds to your knowledge. Each repetition strengthens your ability. Each quiet decision to persevere when no one is watching builds the discipline that will carry you when the real tests come. The irony is that the day your work becomes visible to others, it will seem effortless to them. They will call you gifted or lucky, unaware that the so-called luck was purchased in advance by countless hours in the shadows. They will see the harvest without realizing how long the seed lay buried in the ground. but you will know. You will remember every quiet morning, every long night, every moment when you could have stopped but chose to continue. Invisible investment is what separates those who dabble from those who master their craft. It is not glamorous, but it is unshakable, and once made, it cannot be taken from you. When you pay this part of the price, you carry within you something the world cannot see until the day it bursts forth, fully formed, and others finally recognize what you have known all along. You have been preparing for this moment in silence, and the payment is complete. Small payments add up. This is one of the most dependable truths in life, and yet it is often overlooked because it works so quietly, so steadily, that its power is invisible until the results can no longer be ignored. We tend to imagine achievement as something that arrives in great leaps, sudden strokes of fortune, or bursts of inspiration. But in reality, most great successes are built the same way a mighty wall is built, one brick at a time, laid carefully day after day, until what once seemed impossible now stands before you in full form. The mind resists this truth because the daily payment seems so small, so insignificant, that it's hard to believe it matters. Writing a single page, saving a small sum, practicing for just 30 minutes, these actions feel too modest to change the course of a life. And yet, over weeks, months, and years, they compound with astonishing force. What feels like a drop becomes a steady stream, and what begins as a stream eventually becomes a river. There is a great advantage in understanding this principle. It means you don't have to move mountains in a day. You only need to move a single stone, provided you return tomorrow to move another, and the day after that to move another still. The work is manageable, even pleasant, when approached in this way, and because each small payment is within your control, there is no excuse for inaction. You may not be able to accomplish everything today, but you can always do something today. Those who doubt the value of small efforts often wait for the perfect moment to make a large one. They postpone the start, telling themselves they will act when they have more time, more energy, or more resources. But while they wait, the days pass, and the small payments that could have been made are forever lost. Meanwhile, the person who acts daily, even in modest doses, finds that time itself becomes an ally. Each small action builds upon the last, creating momentum that becomes harder to stop than to continue. The beauty of small payments is that they build not only results but also identity. Each day you make your deposit, you confirm to yourself that you are the kind of person who follows through. You begin to see yourself as disciplined, reliable, and capable, and this self-image makes further action more natural. What begins as a conscious choice becomes an unconscious habit, and habits, once formed, are among the most powerful forces in a person's life. One day, often without realizing exactly when it happened, you will look at what stands before you. The book written, the business built, the skill mastered, and it will seem remarkable. Others will marvel at the scale of your accomplishment. But you will know it was not one great act that built it. It was 1,000 small payments, made quietly and consistently, each one modest on its own but unstoppable in their combined power. Faith in the outcome is the invisible thread that carries you through the long stretch between planting the seed and harvesting the crop. It is the ability to keep working, keep sacrificing, and keep paying the price even when there is no sign, yet that your efforts will bear fruit. Without this trust, most people quit too soon. They abandon the field before the first green shoots break through the soil, forgetting that nature always takes time to produce her rewards. Every great accomplishment has a period of uncertainty built into it. There is always a span of time in which the work is being done, the price is being paid, and yet nothing seems to be happening. The writer fills page after page with no audience. The entrepreneur spends long hours preparing a product no one has seen. The athlete trains in solitude without a single trophy to show for it. In these moments, the only thing that keeps a person moving forward is faith. Faith that the laws of cause and effect are real, that honest effort produces honest reward, and that the day will come when the investment returns a harvest. This kind of faith is not blind. It is built on understanding. A farmer does not plant seeds and then wonder if something will grow. He knows it will because it always has, provided the conditions are met. In the same way, you can be certain that if you set a clear goal, take consistent action, and refuse to stop, results will come. The timing may not be exactly as you expect, but the principle is as dependable as the sunrise. The difficulty is that we live in an age of immediacy. People want to see proof before they commit, results before they invest, applause before they perform. But the world does not work this way. The proof you seek comes after, not before, the payment. You cannot wait until the evidence appears to begin believing, because belief itself is part of the fuel that carries you through the times when there is nothing to see. Faith in the outcome gives you the courage to endure delays and detours. It allows you to treat setbacks not as signs of failure but as steps in the process. It keeps you from tearing up the field in doubt, looking for the seed you planted instead of letting it grow. And it prevents the most costly mistake of all, quitting just before the results arrive. Those who achieve much are those who learn to live in this in-between place, where effort is high and visible returns are low without losing heart. They work with the quiet confidence that they are moving toward their goal, even if progress cannot yet be measured. They understand that the day will come when the reward appears suddenly, though in truth it was built slowly, one act of faith after another, until the price was fully paid and the outcome became inevitable action now, not later. It is one of the simplest rules for success, yet it is also one of the most ignored. The perfect moment, the flawless plan, the ideal circumstances, these are illusions that keep more dreams buried than failure ever will. Life rewards the person who begins, who moves forward with what he has, from where he is, without waiting for every piece to be in place. For while he is moving, opportunities arise, adjustments can be made, and progress is inevitable. But the one who waits remains exactly where he is, watching the days slip past like water through open hands. The truth is that conditions are rarely perfect for anything worth doing. If you wait until you have more money, more time, more experience, or more certainty, you will wait forever. Every great accomplishment in history began under less than perfect conditions. The business started with limited capital. The masterpiece was painted in a cramped room. The great speech was delivered with notes scribbled on scraps of paper. They began not because everything was ready, but because they refused to let the lack of readiness become an excuse for inaction. Action has a way of creating the very conditions we think we must have before we start. The first steps, however imperfect, set things in motion. They attract resources, draw the attention of allies, and reveal solutions to problems that could never have been solved in theory alone. A plan on paper will remain flawless and useless until it is tested in the real world. Movement brings clarity. Effort brings refinement. There is a hidden cost in delay, and it is far greater than most realize. Each day you postpone taking action is a day the reward is pushed further into the future. It is a day when no progress is made, no payment toward the price is deposited, and no momentum is built. Delay quietly erodes confidence too, because the longer you wait, the more the task seems to grow in size and difficulty. The mind begins to imagine obstacles that aren't there, and soon what could have been started easily becomes something you dread. The person who acts now gains a second advantage. He learns faster. By starting, even clumsily, he receives immediate feedback. He sees what works and what doesn't, and he adjusts. This learning compounds over time, turning early missteps into valuable experience. Meanwhile, the one who waits gains nothing, no skill, no progress, no knowledge, only the false comfort of feeling prepared while standing still. Every goal has a price, and the sooner you begin paying it, the sooner it will be met in full. Action is the first installment. It doesn't need to be grand, only genuine. Start the book with one sentence. Begin the workout with one exercise. Make the call, send the message, take the step. The perfect time will never come, but the right time is always now. And the reward begins its journey toward you the moment you begin yours toward it. The truth about success, happiness, and personal growth is timeless and unchanging. You can have anything you truly want if you are willing to pay the price in full, in advance. That price is paid in clarity of purpose, in steady and persistent effort, in sacrifices made willingly, in faith that the reward will come, and in action taken now rather than later. There is no bargaining with success, no shortcut that can replace the quiet, unseen hours of preparation, no substitute for the daily payments that compound over time. Every great achievement is purchased not in a single transaction, but through countless moments when you choose discipline over ease, purpose over distraction, and the future you desire over the comfort you could have now. Those moments, though small in themselves, form the sum of the price, and when it is paid, the reward is inevitable. So decide exactly what you want. Fix it in your mind, and then begin, today, to pay toward it every single day, without hesitation and without excuse. For in the end, the treasures of life are not withheld. They are simply waiting for the moment when you have met their price in full. And when that day comes, you will know, as all who have walked this road before you know, that the reward was worth every ounce of the cost. The truth about success, happiness, and personal growth is timeless and unchanging. You can have anything you truly want if you are willing to pay the price in full in advance. That price is paid in clarity of purpose, in steady and persistent effort, in sacrifices made willingly, in faith that the reward will come, and in action taken now rather than later. There is no bargaining with success, no shortcut that can replace the quiet, unseen hours of preparation, no substitute for the daily payments that compound over time. Every great achievement is purchased not in a single transaction, but through countless moments when you choose discipline over ease, purpose over distraction, and the future you desire over the comfort you could have now. Those moments, though small in themselves, form the sum of the price, and when it is paid, the reward is inevitable. So decide exactly what you want, fix it in your mind, and then begin, today, to pay toward it every single day without hesitation and without excuse. For in the end, the treasures of life are not withheld, they are simply waiting for the moment when you have met their price in full. And when that day comes, you will know, as all who have walked this road before you know, that the reward was worth every ounce of the cost.